Hi, I'm Michael Coates, president of Personal Injury Made Easy, or PIMadeEasy.com, and we're continuing with the six-part series about personal injury. And what we're really getting into is I know you're all great healers. What I want you to all be is a great business operator or owner. So to do that, the first thing I want to mention today is that it starts with mindset. And for mindset, realize that you are a pro, you're a professional. And I think a lot of times, whether it's chiropractic or acupuncture, that you think of yourself less than whether it is even the MDs or certainly dealing with an attorney or you're dealing with the court system. And it's just not true. All professionals are on an equal plane. You're no better, you're no less. So you've got to grab that mindset and then realize that you're no better than anybody else, but you also deserve the same as everybody else. And the second thing is, again, realizing that you're not just a great healer, but you need to be a better business operator. So I really want you to grab onto those two hats. And the third part about mindset is something I talk about a lot is whether you are a fox or a lion. So the fox has to outsmart things. It could be a problem you've got to kind of MacGyver around it, or it could be someone you're dealing with, someone that's trying to, whether they're take advantage of you, it could be someone that's a staffer, could be a patient, could be an attorney and PI, about anything. You got to be a fox, right? Because no one outsmarts a fox. But at the same time, you may have to be a lion. And the lion is about strength. And you have to be strong for your patients, your staff, your family, your business, and also for yourself. So when someone says you need to be a fox or a lion, I say you need to be both to succeed in business. You've got to have both the ability to outfox those that are around you, and you also got to be strong to stand up for what's right and the people that matter to you. So that's kind of the first part. The second part is I want to get into what is the success formula. And it's a three-part formula. And I always think that when you get into things that they're too complicated, it's just too hard to implement. It's too hard to even get set in your head because we like to put things in buckets. So I'm going to give you three barrels, so to speak, to put things in, or three buckets. And the first one is processes, because we need proven processes to make things more efficient and more effective. And you all know about processes. I mean, you cannot have a medical office or medical practice without being really efficient in processes. How many patients do you see in a day? It's done because you've got a process for how you flow from at the lobby and intake, putting them in the room, when you're doing treatment, and when they're even exiting. It's just to realize that in personal injury, you're going to have all these nuances that are unique to PI. And you've got to learn to master those, to identify the ones that really have a great impact and to put those in place. And then you can tweak it and modify it for your practice. But if you don't do that, you're going to have gaps in the time frame. You're going to be missing all kinds of ability to value drive. And when I say value driving through processes, there are things that you can do through processes, from intake, the forms you use, when you use them, to the documentation that you do, how you do your documentation, that literally can drive the value that you bring to a personal injury case for your patient and also for their attorney, even for your peers. So if you think about it this way, you've got the insurance companies that are all trying to drive down PI case value, and you are remaining as this neutral, ethically bound medical provider. You are all about just the patient's health. You're not about the liability or outcome of the PI case, because that's just not your role and you have no control over it. But what you are is an avid healthcare advocate. You are there for your patient. Remember, you see that patient far more than an attorney ever sees their own client. So because of that, you're at this ground level to pain and suffering. That's when you get into storytelling documentation that I've referred to before, and I'll refer many, many times, which is about the ADLs, the activities of daily living. That's life that you're living. Then it's about the duties under duress, those that affect the workplace. And then the loss of enjoyment, the LOE. That's about life. And so all those have this incredible impact, and it's the impact that trauma has on our lives and on your patient's life. So the processes that you do help to put in documentation, help to pull that out. Now we're going to get much deeper into that in the next session when we really dive deeper into processes. But I want to give you a little flavor for it, because when you do these things, it so positions you well. And let's talk about positioning a little bit more. So when you talk about processes, that goes also the documents you use to protect your bill. So we'll talk about a number of them in the next session, but it includes things that you have the patient sign. And it's not just a medical lien agreement or even a letter of protection, but there are other forms that you can do that helps to kind of stop when the attorneys want to throw things at you. And again, it's positioning you to be better at the time it comes to be paid. So all those processes, which include when you've even discharged a patient, what process do you have to follow up on a PI case? Who do you follow up with? When do you follow up? And what are you asking when you follow up? So again, we're going to hit that in the next session, but I just want you to realize how important processes are. Everything else flows from that. So that's the first area of the success formula. The second area is profits, right? It takes money to do the mission, as we've talked about, and your mission is to heal. And the more money you make, the more healing you can do. So I want to really see you ramp up the profit. And for profit, remember, it's not how much money you make, it's how much you keep in your pocket at the end of the day. It's that net profit that allows you to give increases to staff on bonuses, hire more staff, do more things for your family. So profits is such an important area. And we'll dive deeper into the 2 weeks from now. When we get into that session, we're going to hit profits and we'll talk about MedPay and PIP. We'll talk about how you negotiate with law firms, the negotiation method that I have come up with and I've refined over the last 15 years that literally has providers owning law firms because the leverage is on your side. You just got to learn how to identify the leverage, how to apply it. And that's what the method that I'm going to talk about in that session is all about. And then there's the third area. We talked about processes, we talked about profits. And it's a third area that every business must do. And if it doesn't, it cannot succeed. And it's growth. You have to be able to scale. But what is growth? I think that I find that people think different aspects of growth. Growth doesn't have to mean you've got to have 15 offices. Okay? Growth can simply be that you are maximizing your patient flow for if you're the solo provider, you're maximizing that out. You might have a multidisciplinary practice though. You may have another office, a second or a third. So growth can mean different things to different people. So when you're scaling, it could be scaling up just your one office to maximize your potential. So you've got the flow you want, you're not overworked, but you are maximizing your patient mix and your patient numbers. It could be because you're thinking of the exit strategy, like where you want to end up, what kind of life you want to lead. You might want more offices. So then you got to think about growth that way, which again, if you have processes down, that prevents a brush fire turning into a forest fire when you've got a number of offices. It's why it becomes refining those processes early so important. And why profiting matters, because the more you profit, the easier it is to expand. And so think about how this works together. Processes, profits, and growth. It's a simple formula, but you cannot have any success, whether it's personal injury or a medical practice, or to be honest, any business, unless you've got all three. Any of those three pillars, like a tripod that is often goes, the tripod's going to fall down because it's only got two legs. It's gone, it's over. So this path that we're talking about is to help you understand through the next sessions, each of those silos, each of those buckets, because it's all about one thing, helping you to be more successful. And you've earned it and you deserve it. So again, think about that formula. Think about how easy it is. Because when things get too complicated, we find ways to stop ourselves. And I have a lot of providers that come in and talk to me, and they say they just want to focus on one. Michael, I just want to grow because they think they're doing the processes right, or they think they're making enough. And when I dive in and talk to them, and because data doesn't lie, and I find out the forms they're using, the process they have, or I find out how much they're actually getting paid by the trusted attorneys, and even more what they're getting paid by the difficult attorneys, I found out it's not what they thought. So what they're growing is not profit. Sometimes they're growing losses, and you never want to, of course, do that, right? So when someone says, Michael, I just want to focus on processes. By the way, that is the best thing to start with. There is an order to things. So I do love when someone's never done PI before. And when they say, Mike, what's the first thing I should be doing? And I say, it's processes. Think of it like a house. And you've got that solid foundation in the house. And you want to have the great processes are part of that foundation. But they also get into the curb appeal, right? So that's like the documentation. We talked about that the last segment. So when you build this really great house that has this great curb appeal, that's when you can really thrive as a business, where you become a value driver to personal injury attorneys, to your patients, to your peers, to yourself. And then that allows you to also not only profit more, but to grow. So I hope that that gives you a little bit of a start and sets the stage for what we're going to talk about these next 3 really important weeks. Because once you understand it's about processes, profits, and growth, and that you need all 3, I would say as we go through the next few weeks, I want you to identify 1, 2, or 3 things that I talk about that you will implement right away. So maybe you might do 1 thing in each of those silos or those buckets and put them in this month, okay? Or next month when we talk about it. I think that's going to help you. In fact, when we talk about processes, try to pick out 3 things and implement that. When we talk about profits, try to pick about 3 things and implement that. And we talk about growth, try to pick out 3 things and implement that. That means each month you'll be doing more. And at the end, if maybe you put this aside, you didn't hit this like you wanted to, don't stress yourself out. It's about your life and your practice. Sometimes we've got to take a step back to move forward. That's what I'm going to tell you. Instead of picking 3 things, pick 1. It's still stepping forward. And stepping forward is what perfection is. Perfection doesn't exist in this world at all. So I always say that progress is perfection. And again, if you want to live well, you got to build it well. So that's what we're going to be doing through the rest of this series. We're going to build it well so that you can live well. So again, as Michael Coates, I want to give you how to contact me if you need any help on anything from me or my team. That's my website is pimadeeasy.com, and my email address is michael@pimadeeasy.com. And we're here to help. So please don't hesitate to reach out. And I want you to start compiling your questions, because I think that's going to really help to get things focused on what matters to you, because you matter to me. I'll see you at the next session.